And we're live.
Yeah.
No CJ.
Moving.
I'm going to be moving
Wow.
in 6 weeks or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you moving in with CJ?
Yes, we actually were moving. I was so sick of the commute from North Jersey to Philly. I'm going to move to DC with CJ and just commute from there.
I think that'd be good for the podcast.
Me living with CJ
You living with CJ, yeah.
and his girlfriend and commuting. Yeah.
I think that's nice.
I think so too. Do you think CJ would be a good guy to live with?
Yeah.
Like in terms of like roommate or whatever?
Probably better than either of us.
Yeah. Well, truthfully, the biggest problem with me is that, I didn't get married till I was 38. So when that happens, you really develop, and you know me, I like shit the way that I like it. Mm-hmm. Imagine like at home, that's how it is. So like I'm clean and I'm respectful and all that stuff, but
Did you ever live alone, like by yourself, fully by yourself?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For years I lived alone. So So when you do that and then you start cohabitating, I lived with a girl when I was 29, but that was only like for a year. So then from 29 to like 37 or whatever, I was just on my own. So everything was exactly how I wanted it. So
yeah, I've never lived alone. Never lived
Oh, really?
solo. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. It's kind of boring, but it's also kind of nice,
I wondered that I would like shut down for maybe like a week at a time. I'd be like, no one's checking on me. What if my rotting corpse?
That is a very you thing to worry about.
That's what I'd be worried about.
Yeah.
I'd be like, they could, people wouldn't know. Like even like, I mean,
like
this all the time where you could just get the idea that as like an adult, when I went to college or when I moved out to LA, I think I was like, I could get in the car and just drive, and that it would take someone a while to start to worry about me.
That if you just disappeared.
Yeah, if I just drove and just started driving like northeast and just like was in Idaho.
At least like 5 days, 4 days, 5 days.
Something
right?
like that, depending on who I was living with. Yeah, like Sharp would not have batted an eye for quite a while.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, so by myself, I think would have been even more of that because then he would have been like, oh, I'm sure he's hanging out with somebody else. And at a certain point, you got to check on that.
Well, last thing, Saturday, I'm by myself because we have like open houses at our house to sell our house. So Val was down in Delco with the dogs, and I was just like at a hotel in North Jersey. So like I woke up, I was like, what do I do today? Like I don't have anybody here. Yeah. So I like got a haircut I didn't need, went to the movies by myself. That's nice. Took a 2.5 hour walk.
You need that.
Yeah. All right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented proudly by DraftKings Sportsbook. We're back, Mike. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. And brought to you by Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process at briggsauction.com. MortgageCS. Become a MortgageCS Ricky VIP like me at mortgagecs.com/Ricky. And Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. Subscribe at rightstoRickySanchez.com/newsletter. What a huge game for the Philadelphia 76ers tonight.
Big.
In the standings. Now, if you watch NBC Sports Philly, they'll tell you it's a big game for the 10 seed, but they are lying to you.
To everyone.
Yeah.
All the 6-year-olds watching that they are appealing to.
Yeah. We will talk about that. We'll find out about Mike's trip to Japan, and then Mike O'Connor, our other Mike, did an article on rightstoRickySanchez.com about what the Sixers would do at every different draft position were they to survive the lottery. So get Mike's feelings on that, because I actually don't have any feelings on that because I don't know any of those guys yet. I know 3 of their names, but that's about it. So all that. I did mention Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka at the top of the show there. Boy, it's the best. They sponsored, we had a big WIP broadcast today, and they were the sponsor of the Elliott Shore Parks free agency desk. And I love seeing Surfside all over the place because I love seeing the fact, when Stateside started with us, There was no vodka soda. There was no Surfside. It was just a little distillery in Philadelphia. And now, look at this. Everybody loves Surfside. And they love it for the right reasons. They love it because it tastes great. Every different version of it tastes great. They love it because it's only 100 calories. They love it because it's only 3 grams of sugar. They love it because there's no bubbles in it and it's iced tea, and iced tea is not supposed to have carbonation. You should go get yourself some Surfside. My favorite is the lemonade and vodka. I also love the iced tea, lemonade and vodka. I also love the green tea and vodka. You can get it wherever you get your booze, or just go to statesidevodka.com. You got to be 21. That is the rule. Without any further ado, Amos and the show.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who is back in the West.
So back.
That is one Mike Levin.
Here I am. I'm a little jet lagged.
Oh,
still recovering. That's a 17-hour time difference. That's serious stuff in Japan.
Crimea River.
No, I'm not. I'm not upset. Not upset.
Okay.
Just excusing any fuzziness that comes over the airwaves from my end.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, come back to this beautiful loss.
Oh, what a loss.
Was like sort of loosely checking in or vaguely aware of the Sixers while I was over there.
You did miss the Warriors win.
I did miss the Warriors win. That annoyed me when I saw that.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a great fucking time. Did a lot of cool shit. Saw one guy in a Sixers shirt.
There you go.
Thought about going up to him, and I said, I'm off the clock, actually.
Yeah, he's
Didn't
not
go up to
working.
him.
He's not working. So two things on the game tonight, just from a big picture perspective. One, and I don't know if you'll believe this, but I'm telling you the truth. Never during the early process years did I ever sit there and root for them to lose.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
I didn't do it. And this is not like bragging. I'm just saying I didn't. I just felt like they would lose enough and let the chips fall where they may.
Somebody go back in those old podcasts. Listen to everyone.
Go ahead.
Listen to everyone. I don't buy it.
Go ahead. Go try to find one. But now I'm not saying I wasn't like okay with them losing. I was definitely okay with them losing. Okay. But tonight I am in the mode where I am actively, it feels very strange. I'm actively getting worried, like the opposite way of when I was trying to, like I'm watching Quentin Grimes. I'm like, oh, no, or Dalton hitting threes. Yep. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, and I don't want to get into a whole tanking discussion at all, but there is no other sport that has a practice this outrageous, where there are 6 or 7 teams actively taking all of their good players who are not injured and just sitting them down in an attempt to maybe lose more games. And like, it is wild. I think somebody suggested this via email. My best idea to fix it is, in the NBA, the rule should be if you win the game, you get to decide who gets the win or the loss.
That's interesting. That would the players. The problem is that like what is best for the franchise is not what's best for the players, and so the idea that like
they're
after
not
the
trying
game
to lose,
they should be trying to lose, or like and then it becomes like once you're eliminated from the playoffs, then you're you go into a like a bracket, and then whoever has the best record gets the top pick. But it's like that's not an incentive for the players. They don't care about that.
No.
They don't care about who comes the following year. Maybe a couple guys on the team would. Maybe like Embiid is vaguely aware of it. Maybe Maxey, but he still wants to see his guys win.
Yeah.
And I think if you could ask them like, hey, do you guys want to win out and get the 10 spot? They would say yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing to me. I understand why it's frustrating. I understand how it's gotten worse, and it's annoying that we got saddled with a Colangelo while nobody else in the league has ever suffered any punishment whatsoever, really. But the thing that frustrated me a few years ago was them being like, the flattened lottery odds are gonna do it.
Yep.
Like we've finally solved it, and it hasn't changed anything whatsoever. I think the play-in has helped a little bit, but I'm like the teams that are trying to tank out of the play-in, that, you know, the Sixers, because of how bad everything has been and how injured everyone was, I think is maybe I'm being hypocritical, but that to me is fine. They're just like, hey, we don't deserve to win the play-in. They've made the playoffs plenty of time, but like a team like the Hawks or the Bulls, that they're trading away players and ultimately sitting them or not caring as much. It's like, guys, this is the best it's going to get for you. Like, what are you waiting for? So.
It is. Yeah. And then the end of the day, like the way that general managers think is they change the lottery odds, but if there's even 2% chance that they're going to get a better player with a worse record, a 2% better chance, they will take that 2% better chance because there's no other whatever.
Yeah. The thing that's annoying to me is that like there's nothing that's annoying. I'm feeling great. We're in the 5 spot. Tied with Brooklyn. The Raptors have had the easiest schedule in the league for a while now, and they still have the easiest schedule to come. They did lose an annoying game to Washington, so I did click on. I was watching that, so I was at the train station waiting for my friends to pick up some snacks, and I was like standing around there, and I was like, just let me pop on NBA League Pass, see what's going on over there, see that Washington and Toronto are playing each other. I'm like at this deer park where like there's just deer running, like walking around, and you feed them and they like attack you. They're not attack you, but just sort of like come up to you, and they're supposed to bow when they want little crackers that you can give them. But they're like really in your face about it. They're not like being bashful. They're like coming up to me like, give me some fucking crackers, man. And so I'm standing there waiting to leave, and I see that the Wizards Toronto game was like towards the end, and I'm like, I'm watching it. And so it's like grainy, pixelated, like last minute. And then Jamal Shed drives right and finishes high off the glass at the buzzer. And I'm like pumping my fist in the deer park. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, Raptors, baby. And then they call it back. And so then I was the saddest boy in the deer park.
I'm sorry.
But I'm glad the Raptors got this win. This is big. Getting in that 5 spot would just be so huge because then one team could jump the Sixers and they keep the pick. That is massive. That is so big. The percentages are so different there.
Well, it's 64% chance they keep it at the 5 spot, versus I think, by the way, this was, I don't want to feed into the war between you and AU.
How's he doing?
I respect it.
How's AU been the past couple weeks?
He did a great job. Good to hear. Had to deal with a couple of rants from me or whatever, but did a great job. Insulted a listener for quoting T.S. Eliot for some reason. It was a good AU run. But I think that the moment that I think neither of us would go back and listen to podcasts we miss. Neither of us care that much. But there's one moment that you should hear where he suggests there's not really that big a difference between 64% chance keeping the pick and 32% chance keeping the
pick. Man.
He's like, it's not really that big a difference. And I was like, well, AU, it's literally like twice as likely.
Actually twice as much. Wow. AU, get off my cope. Ridiculous. That his brain has been fucking pickled this year. Just the go for it year. That's right. It's been the go for it year. Now's the time to do it. Remarkable. But I'm happy to have won. I'm happy to dance on his grave a little bit, but not too much. We're gonna be, like, the 5 seed is in sight. The 5 seed is within our sights. And then obviously, like, you want to get that 1 seed. That one spot. Cooper Flagg would be a franchise-changing player. But any of those guys would become really interesting, whether you draft him or whether you trade down and get future picks, like in addition to somebody if there's somebody like in the later lottery that you like. It's just, you want the pick. Whether or not you want exactly the player that is in the 4 spot or whatever, like, you want the pick so that there's so much more maneuverability. There's a world where you get the pick and then trade it to move down a couple spots, and then you can get off like one of the contracts that you don't want or something. Like you have a better chance to sign Grimes and Yabusele. Like it's a lot more stuff can happen even if you're not in love with anybody right there.
So currently, the Sixers are tied for the 5th spot with the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
They're both 22 and 43.
Yep.
That gives the Sixers currently, I think because they have some loser tiebreaker or whatever, a 39.9% chance of getting a top 4 pick and a 64% chance of keeping the pick and a 9.8% chance of number 1 overall, which is notable considering that the number 1 and 2 and 3 teams only have a 14% chance of getting the number 1 pick overall.
That's it. That's there's your flattened lottery odds for you.
Dude,
Fixed it.
Can you imagine the lottery party if we got the number 1 pick?
Oh my God. Look, on the one
Total
hand, we don't
meltdown.
deserve it. We don't deserve it.
We don't
But on the
deserve
other hand, we like absolutely do.
We've been through a lot.
We've been through a fucking lot.
Yeah.
And this has been the season from hell, the ultimate season from hell. And I do think that the Sixers should rig it. And with all the money that the owners have, and they're buying like a sports team in every league in the world, whoever the Philadelphia rival is in the Korean baseball league, like I think Josh Harris is buying that team. And they should use some of that money to bribe
Rig it.
and rig the
it.
draft lottery.
Rig it. What could it cost? $500 million?
Oh my God.
Who cares?
Who gives a shit? It
Who ca-
doesn't
how,
matter.
How much money do you need?
Rig it. You will get this money back. Absolutely rig that
it.
shit. 100%.
The Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process. Now, we don't have CJ with us, so you don't have your Briggs auction item of the week. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on this week's auction for a second. Briggs Auction is in Delco. It's cool, whatever. You don't really care that much. It's in Delco, though. It matters to me. It's family-owned, 4-generation, owned and operated. Well, okay, whatever. Here's the thing. Briggs Auction is an online auction site that has new auctions every single week, and almost every single week. You can download the app in the App Store or Google Play, but so much cool stuff in there. And what I always like to say about Briggs is they always have stuff you didn't know you needed until you saw it. Tons of auction items with each sale, like sometimes between 500 and 1,000 items, a lot of them starting at $1 in art and collectibles and vehicles. There's an 87 Corvette in this week's Briggs auction. 87 Corvette. There's this fucking wild, like a spring 1984, I think, Springsteen poster in the art section. But here's what I really want you to look at, because I grew up, my first car I ever bought was selling baseball cards. In the collectibles section, there are lots and lots and lots of basketball cards, baseball
You bought a car
cards,
selling
football
baseball cards?
I did, yeah. Well, in my
Is this 1921?
no, you
That's the
dickhead.
oldest thing I've ever heard in my life.
No, it was like, well, baseball cards are a big deal now, but it was what, 92, and like it was
Kid
the
buys
ti-
cars selling baseball cards. Just sounds like something that would happen in the early half of the century.
No, man, because it
That
was
last
the
century, I mean.
it was the time when you would buy like 50 of like a really good rookie card and went up, so you get like 50 of the Frank Thomas rookie card or whatever. Or, yeah, I sold baseball cards. $6,200, a 1984 Nissan 300ZX Turbo was my first car. Yeah.
That's such a funny card to be the thing that gets you from baseball cards. It would
Yep.
be, it would be like a Model T,
Yeah. Fuck off. Fuck you, man.
Nissan
So
ZX Turbo.
art in the Briggs auction sales, furniture, and sometimes antique stuff, one of a kind stuff, clothes, all that. What I would recommend you do is either download the app in either the App Store or Google Play, or just check the website every single week like I do. If you win a lot, which I have, CJ has, you can pick up on Saturday at open pickup. You can make an appointment for during the week. They can work with you on a shipper. Or if you have a bunch of stuff to sell, like maybe a Model T that you bought with your baseball cards,
That's it.
send an email to
My
info.
bottle cap collection.
All right. info@briggsauction.com. That is info@briggsauction.com. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the Ricky. So a lot of people were worrying, just a couple of things about the game tonight.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I want to calm people down a little bit about Quentin Grimes. So I get it. He's good. He's hitting shots. He does seem, Kate said this tonight, he does seem like he's playing at a different speed and effort level than most everybody else on many nights, certainly on the Sixers.
Which I love. I love and respect
Yes.
that. That's like, he became that guy when he went to Houston.
Here's
University of Houston.
Here's the thing. In the games he's played 20 minutes or more, they're 2-13. So like somebody's got to score. I'm not saying to take this away from him, but like every time the one team scores, your team gets the ball back, and chances are the Sixers are going to score 90 or 100 or 110 points every single night.
Explain that get the ball back thing again. I need
you know what I mean. It's like it's not make it take it. You're going to score 100 points, and
it should be make it take it. The rest of the Sixers game should be make it take it.
Somebody on your team is going to score points, and it's usually the best guard because he has the ball the most. And we've seen this before. We've had plenty of Sixers.
So you think this is fake stats?
No,
fake stats, bad team.
No, well, it's a little bit of it. It's just, here's my point. My point is, don't worry about him ruining the tank for us because somebody will be scoring. And that's big. My point. I think he's good. I think he's got a lot of skills. I think some of this is bad team scoring, but I don't think he's a 30-point a game scorer or whatever. But no, I wouldn't worry about playing. He's not like too good to play. That's my only point.
I would say that my concern is that he's playing himself out of a contract that allows you to also bring back Yabusele. And the Oubre decision of him picking up his option is out of their hands. But Grimes, to me, has played well enough on both ends. And including the energy level, which I love. I love how hard he plays. Yep. I love how much effort he has given on both ends. Like the couple plays tonight, he had 3 steals and 2 blocks. Like his presence was felt. He's coming out of passing lanes and sneaking out from behind and contesting shots. And I loved it. I think he's an excellent player. I'm really happy for him. Like he's bounced around a couple teams. I think he's just, because of how hot he's gotten, because of how much on ball juice he's showing, got really nice little step backs, little like sidestep, really looks powerful with the ball in his hands, finishing strong, finishing composed. I thought his passing, he had a couple nice passes to Andre Drummond of all people tonight, and got assists out of that. I think it's just a concern of like, because he's a restricted free agent, is some team going to go, fuck you, Daryl. We're going to send a massive offer sheet at this guy that fucks up your offseason and whatever you think is possible to bring back 2 or 3 of those guys. So there's not a ton of teams that are going to have cap space.
That's the other thing.
Grimes is a type of guy that every team would like to have. And so if teams shed cap space, or in some ways, I haven't looked at it really, but like he's just playing himself out of that sort of sweet spot, like 10 to 12 million range, and like it might be creeping up more in a way that becomes a little untenable, and you start to have to pick your poison of like other guys. Like, are you gonna have to, the three spots for me, and we've been talking about this for a while now, are like Grimes. First of all, great trade from Daryl. Let's just like, I've been shitting on Daryl obviously because the team has been the worst team in the world, but like getting Grimes and a pick for Caleb Martin, who was hurt, is a tremendous bit of business at the deadline. Immediately becomes the Sixers' best trade deadline moment.
Yeah. Not saying much.
Ever.
Not saying
no,
much,
for sure. But like,
that was expiring contract, by the way.
Absolutely huge. And they have to now sign him. If they don't sign him, then it's going to be very frustrating. I think he is the number one priority of those 3 guys, over Yabusele for me.
Yes, I think so. I also think we got a little over our heads as to what Yabusele is going to make on the open market. He's probably an $8 million a year player.
That would be nice. I think the issue with Yabu, and we'll talk about it all summer, but like, he is a really, really solid energy player and a great offensive player. Will do anything you ask him to do offensively. Will compete for rebounds, moves the ball. Showed over the course of the season that he's really, really willing to be a legitimate volume 3-point shooter when they leave him open, and can punish a mismatch inside. I loved what he did all season, basically.
Yeah, but it was great. He just ran out of gas.
He ran out of gas, and also like he really has a tough time moving his feet on the perimeter when he's guarding smaller guys. That's ultimately it. And so if you think he's a 5, then the other team's going to get a shit ton of buckets at the rim because he's not a legitimate rim protector. No fault of his. It's just he's not big enough or athletic enough to do that. But if he's a 4, then he's letting guys get by him because he can't move his feet that well. So that's the main issue. But I think he was good enough where I'd still love to have him back and see if he can improve his lateral quickness, if you can get him on a fair deal with Grimes. But now that Grimes is proving to be so useful, and I agree, I don't think he's like all of a sudden Grimes is a $30 million player or a 30 points a game player or whatever. But he needs to be here. He'd be a really, really helpful player. Maxey, McCain, Grimes is a really, really nice guard trio that you can rotate in and out depending on who's matchup, who's hot, however you want to do it. Maybe there's a world where you start all three. I think probably not, but whatever. It'd be really nice to have all those guys, and you need to bring Grimes back. The frustrating thing with the season is that like there's been a lot of rays of sunshine. Like it's been weird.
Well, we've said that a bunch of times. It's so from Jared McCain to Gershon Yabusele to Oubre playing well to
Justin Edwards.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah, Adem Bona's had a nice little rookie season. Yeah. Like all these guys that you can go like, oh, that was sort of, they might have found something there. Jared Butler has missed some shots, but I love watching him play basketball. I think he's an excellent rotation guard. And gets into the paint easier than most anybody on the team, and is the best passer on the team right now. So if he's back next year, I'm happy. But it's like the guys you counted on to be good, Embiid, PG, the first month and a half of Maxey, Andre Drummond, Kyle Lowry, and most of Eric Gordon. Like those were the guys that just like really fucking sucked, really sucked.
Well, Andre Drummond is having the worst year of any player who's ever played in this era.
Pretty good. So that's been the frustrating part. So it's hard a little bit to square, but it's like you kind of wish, man, if all those good things happened, shouldn't they have had a better season or at least better stretches? And they really just never did. They never did. It was like it shows you, it kind of validates the theory that like of how badly you need. It either questions Nick Nurse's ability to coach like a full team and win games like this. He's had a rough season, and it validates the theory that like it's all about the stars. It's just all about the stars. And the Sixers have been built around Joel for so long, and they've been depending on him to be the like plus minus god for so long that when he can't protect the rim, he can't clean up mistakes around the rim, and he can't just like save dying offensive possessions, then like this is the team that they are, even with all those like players stepping up and becoming useful and showing that they've like grown and stuff.
You did mention Justin Edwards. He has in your time away, he's had a nice like and Sixers Adem, can I just say he doesn't work for the Ricky anymore. Sixers Adem for Philly boys is grinding like a motherfucker.
The boy grinds.
This kid writes 75 stories a day and somehow is making each one of them like, I'm like, it's a shame nobody gives a fuck about this team besides us because you're doing a good job.
God bless the kid. But he messaged me, I'm in Japan, and he messaged me, he's like, I gotta, what did he say? What did he say? He's like, I got a good story you might find interesting coming out tomorrow. I'm like, Adam, I don't care. I don't care. But I love him. I love the hustle. He's doing it, man.
He's written a couple of times just about Justin Edwards, like now that he has like the space to go and put the ball on the floor a little bit and like expand his offensive game, where early in the season he was doing a good job being in the right place at the right time. But even with the increased sort of responsibility, Justin Edwards still looks like a professional basketball player, still looks like a rotation guy. So that's been good with the extra, responsibility or whatever.
Yeah.
What's so funny?
Dude, I'm looking back at my Sixers Adem texts.
Oh, okay.
From Japan, I respond like 12 hours later or something. And it's just Adem doing Adem stuff, man.
It is grinding away.
He can't help it. It's the only way he does. How are you feeling about Alex Reese? How have you enjoyed seeing him as a come in and out?
I don't know. He doesn't do anything for me.
He doesn't?
No. Should he?
No, I don't know. I mean, he's sort of like more the guy he is now is like safer Jonah Bolden, and so and he's got a really quick release. I've never seen a big guy with like that quick of a release. He doesn't need to jump like at all for three, and it gets it out so quick. And they're going in sometimes, but as like a shot blocker and like a weak side shot blocker and a guy who just like moves the ball, I've been like intrigued by it. He's certainly not like crazy athletic, and he looks a little slow out there.
Yeah, he looks kind of like slow and sloppy to me. That's what's coming across to me.
But he's like doing kind of what he's supposed to do. He led the team in plus minus today in 18 minutes, plus 14. Yeah, I wouldn't mind bringing him back as a 2A next year. He's something that I'd be interested. How do you felt about Bona? I know Bona had a pretty good game a couple weeks ago.
Bona's been good, man. He's been able to stay on the court a little bit, you know. And I actually think the thing that's most surprising about Bona is I'm not saying he has a polished offensive game, but he's not polished, right? Like he can finish around the rim a little bit, and we knew he was a good athlete and block shots and all, but he doesn't look out of place out there ever. And I've been, if there's one thing that has been good. All these guys getting this time is what is good about being a shitty team. Yeah. So him getting all these minutes, I think, is good, and he's worlds better than Andre Drummond.
Absolutely. He just needs to put on weight and get stronger, have a stronger base, stop falling down. But he had a really nice lefty dunk off a steal tonight. He has some of that juice. There was a couple times when he can do the fake handoff, take it himself, couple dribbles thing. He's not completely uncoordinated. He's not completely lost with the ball in his hand. Has a little bit of a hook shot. The free throw shooting looks good, and he was 3 or 4 tonight. I think he's in the 70s on the season. What is he, Adem Bona on the season from the line? He is. Give it to me. Why am I not seeing it? All right, 66%. Not as good as I want it to be.
Yeah, not that good.
But it looks good. It looks capable, and I think if there's the kind of Domantas Sabonis, Jonas Valanciunas level, you leave me wide the fuck open from the top of the key, and I can measure one and hit 32% of these, then that would be something I'd be interested in as his career moves on. The interesting thing to me, I got nothing else to say about anybody else really. Oubre's playing hard.
Yes.
Jeff Doughton, God bless him, as the most quad A player in basketball.
Grader. And we mentioned while you were gone, Oubre gets the award for, it would have been Yabusele if he didn't run out of gas. Oubre gets the award for most consistent, tries hard, plays mostly the right way every single game. Yes, all season.
And I was, the season went to hell, so I'm not going to, whatever. But I really was banking on a good Oubre 3-point shooting season. I was dying for it. Been that. And it has not been that. And now he's been here for a few years, and you can look at the last 3 years of his career, and he just doesn't shoot well enough from threes. Under 30% on the year. He was 31% last year. He was 32% the year before that. He's a 32.5 career from three, and it just needs to be better than that. He's getting a lot of open looks. He just doesn't hit them at a high enough clip. And I love the effort, and I love the athleticism, and I love what he gives you on defense, even if there's some brain farts a lot of the time. But he's a clear number 3 to me behind Grimes and Yabusele as to who I want to bring back.
I think that would
just because of Yabu's 3-point shooting. And maybe that's a small sample size on 1 year, and it'll regress next year. And then I'll feel stupid because Oubre certainly is more athletic and gets into more passing lanes and everything. But I think you really have a tough time having good offense with guys who command double teams and Oubre out there. I want him cutting. I love him cutting on that, but you need more shooting. The Sixers for so long, are they the worst 3-point shooting team in the league? They're 7 of 35 tonight.
That sounds impossible.
Yeah, it really does. And there's over and over again. I read something, I forget where I saw it. I'm sorry. Somebody posted on Blue Sky or something. But what a lower percentage of open look percentage, and the Sixers have the third worst field goal percentage, 3-point percentage out of those open looks in the league, behind only ahead of Washington and Charlotte or something like that. So they're of the open 3-point shooting that they're getting, they are the third worst shot makers in the league, and they're 24th in the league in 3-point percentage generally. It's frustrating. It's you got to have guys around whoever's here next year, whether it's McCain and Maxey leading the charge or Joel and Paul George also. You need to have guys around them that are 3-point shooting threats, and they can't be missing so many open looks.
I like Yabu. I think currently I'd probably have Oubre over Yabu, but I hear what you're saying. It's reasonable. The race.
Sorry. I will tease after the break. I will say something about what it's going to take maybe to decide between those two guys.
Okay. Wow, that's a good tease, man. On the fly.
Come on.
Fuck, man. Wright's Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Look, when you're in this point in the season, what else is there? Bet parlay the Sixers loss with the Quentin Grimes over. That is what I'm telling you. That is your same game parlay. Do that every time. Now, amazingly, I haven't looked at this. Do you know the Sixers currently have the same title odds as the Phoenix Suns?
Still?
Yes. They're
Somebody has fallen asleep. There's a guy that sets the Sixers title odds, and he has been in a coma for months.
They're plus 200,000.
He's me if I lived alone. Nobody's checking on him.
No,
he's been dead for a long time. I'm so sorry to that guy.
Let me see.
Maybe a neighbor should check in.
Now, conference, they're the same as the Bulls and the Wiz. They're same as the Bulls in the conference, but which I guess is fair, except that we're actively trying to lose and the Bulls are not. But why do we have the same? Look, there's no chance that the Suns are going to win the title, but there's really no chance that the Sixers are going to win the title.
Yes.
All right.
If the Sixers were mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, what would their chances of winning the title be?
I don't know. We should ask DraftKings.
Yeah.
You should get in on that. Get in on that Suns money there. Look, if like I said, if when the season is what it is, and I beg of you, only bet what you can afford to lose. Do it responsibly. But you have a little fun with DraftKings Sportsbook. And if it's your first time, new customers bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets instantly by using code RTRS. Take it to the rack with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download this DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code RTRS. That is code RTRS for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only at DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Got to be 21. See show notes for details. Mike, live up to that tease, buddy.
Here we
What's
go.
it going to take?
Because of how good Grimes has been, you start to go like, do you attach something? They might be at it's so crazy how bad of a season that they've had, and the idea that they go like, okay, to fit some of the guys who were here this year for this bad season, you might need to attach assets to them to get off of them. And so if there's risk of losing, if Oubre picks up his option, if he doesn't pick up his option, he wants to get a deal somewhere else, then like, that obviously makes it easy. It's not in your hands, but there's a chance that they have to trade Oubre for some like either into somebody else's cap space or for like a non-guaranteed contract or something, so that they can afford to sign Grimes to the deal that they needed to sign him to. And that's a bummer because Oubre has loved it here, but I think like. I really am. The 3-point shooting, I think at this point, it would be naive of me and very overly stubborn. I'm usually very stubborn, but like too stubborn to think like that it's going to change. He's had one season in the last like 7 that's been over 32% from 3. That's just not feasible.
It was always this sort of problem with the presumed starting lineup having both Martin and Oubre in it. It's like, that doesn't seem to work. All right, on to some other stuff here. Now, Mike just got back from Japan, was in Japan for almost 2 weeks. Is that how long you were there? Yeah. Can you give any highlights? We got some emails, people asking for it. We got this one from Kyle. He said, hope you're having a great trip or had a great trip if you're back in the States already. My wife and I are going to Kyoto and Tokyo in November with 2 other couples, and I greatly appreciate any recommendations you can pass along from your travels.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. It was such a cool place. It's just it's cool to be in such a different environment, society, culturally, everything. They still use like paper money there and coins. That's kind of cool. Carrying around a little coin purse. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I went to
did you go to that Philly cheesesteak place?
I went to the Philly first right away.
Okay, was it right away?
It was like the first thing I went to. Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's I post on Instagram, but like there's a like all over the wall of that place. It's called Philly Tokyo. And they do solid cheesesteaks, and the Super Bowl was playing like on a loop on the TV there, which is very solid.
Yeah.
And there's just a ton of like they give you out like little markers to write like whatever you want there. And so people just wrote like, Bedlam at the Bank, or like, Voorhees High School, or whatever the fuck, or like the South Jersey Mafia, whatever the fuck they want to write. Like, just shouting out Philly, and like their experience with it. And it's so funny to be like fully across the world and seeing like Tasty Cakes and Wawa and, SEPTA shit. Like, it's everything. It's just, it felt very stupid for me to be like, okay, first thing I got to do in Philly or in Tokyo is I got to go to the Philly place.
Right. Well, which is a very Philly person thing to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think if you're listening to this podcast, you'll appreciate it also. So I think you should go there, and thank you to the people that are Japan based that listened to the podcast. I reached out and sent over some recs. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I didn't get to meet up with you. I couldn't make the case to Alyssa and my friends.
Yeah,
so like,
I should see Ricky people. And
you got to see my fans, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's a good move.
Did you have like? I know it sounds ridiculous. You have sushi somewhere? Was it?
We had so much. It's not just sushi. It's like shabu shabu and like yakitori and teppanyaki and
shabu shabu was one of my. It's not fun as a vegan, but like there are two very, very good places in Chinatown in Philly that were fucking awesome. Like
really
I ate there like maybe like a little piggy like I've never eaten before. Yeah, hot.
Speaking of little, they had a lot of Tokyo stuff. Speaking of little piggies, I had to go into a mini pig cafe in Tokyo. That was pretty silly. Or that might have been Kyoto actually.
With little piggies all over.
Yeah, mini pigs.
Wow.
And that was okay. It was like funny at first, and then I was like, they don't seem to want to be here really.
Yeah. It's like a cat cafe. Cat cafe is like, oh, this is good, and then it's like, well, why is this better than a regular cafe?
Yeah. I mean, we had a bunch of like udon, which was dope.
Yeah.
We went to this place. We did a weekend. Yeah, it was like Kyoto and Tokyo, and then we did a day at the this like Japanese onsen, which is like much more like a traditional place. That like a ryokan is what it's called. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Sorry.
Like from Street Fighter.
It's much more not exactly. And it's like much more like in a more traditional Japanese place. Like you got to wear the kimono and stuff, and you're walking around in the sandals and stuff. There's one way that if you wear the kimono one way, that is how they dress the dead. And so they're like, please don't wear the kimono that way. And I was like, let me switch that up a little bit really quick. I mean, we dealt the friends we went with like have like are like have kitschy fun interests. So we did some funky weird stuff that I wouldn't normally have done, but that was cool to experience also. Like we ate incredibly well. I gained so much weight. We walked around like crazy. We did a couple days Tokyo Disneyland, which was awesome. If you're a theme park person, that was really fun to experience. I had a great time. And even in the deer park was cool. The monkey park was cool. Saw some fucking tourists like
were there fucking monkeys all over? Did you ever see?
Not all over the place, but like you go there and then you're like in their area, and so they're like, here are the rules. And as you're hiking up the mountain, they're like, rules: don't look the monkeys in the eye. Don't squat down next to the monkeys to look them in the eye.
Right.
Don't feed the monkeys shit out of your pocket. Or don't pull anything out of your pocket because they'll like think it's food. And I'm like, I'm going to be so good at following these rules. Absolutely. And I'm like,
but then there's a monkey.
But other people, there's like tourists and people with like fucking, vlog cameras or whatever there was a guy, and I just have to assume he's American. Maybe he wasn't, but I have to assume he's American. And he's trying to like dap up the monkey. And I'm like, I want this monkey to slap this guy in the face. Like, I don't want him to savagely beat him and make his face unrecognizable, but he should be able to get like one backhand across the face from this monkey being like, fuck you, dude, get out of here. But it was really fun. Saw a bunch of, the subway is so cool. The trains there are unbelievable. It makes me just like so frustrated how bad the trains are in our country, or non-existent in most places. Like public transit there was really great. Kyoto is beautiful and like peaceful, and just like a special kind of vibe there. I mean, I've traveled so few times in my life, and I just felt very grateful to be there and like experience it. It was dope.
I assume, were you ever a Tom Green guy, or was that before your time?
Yeah, I like Tom Green, Charlie's Angels, Tom Green, Freddie Got Fingered, Tom Green.
Yes, yeah. And by the way, somebody asked me this. He was the only person that I've met a lot of famous people, and this is cool. I met Tom Green, and I was like sort of shell shocked that I didn't know he was going to be there, and I was just I was really like, fuck, this is Tom Green. Anyway, he did a special on MTV once called the Subway Monkey Hour, where he went to Japan and like, look, now it would be some influencer doing it, like what you're talking about.
Right.
But I'm sure it's on YouTube. If you ever, I don't think Tom Green was being that respectful, but it is.
Not.
But it was very, very funny. So Subway Monkey Hour is what I say. Well, congratulations on your trip.
Hey, man.
I'm glad
That's
you had
cool.
a good time. Yeah.
You should go.
I want to. I've always said Japan and Australia are the two countries. And then, of course, I have my European trip coming up to do something with somebody that you have not guessed yet.
I still haven't guessed it.
Yeah.
Shit.
Do you want to throw a guess out before we go on to the next segment?
You are going on a weed vlog tour with Jake Fisher to do an Amsterdam sort of travel series.
He does love weed though, but I'm not going on a weed vlog tour with Jake Fisher.
That's
Hi, Jay.
Another
I'm
wrong
you're
guess.
listening. Yeah. Real quick, I'm curious to you. I was going to do this with AU. We ended up not doing it because I ended up talking about this dumb fucking thing Daryl talked about for about 20 minutes, but or this dumb fucking thing Daryl said. But just give me a scale of 1 to 10. If X team wins a championship, 10 you'd be the most bothered, 1 you'd be the least bothered. Okay?
Yeah.
Cavaliers.
I'd be thrilled for the Cavaliers to win.
So 1.
Yeah, 1.
Celtics.
I mean, can you kill me if I'm already dead?
Okay.
But yeah, 10. Like always, forever.
Knicks. They have no chance, but let's say
7.
Okay.
Like I'd be annoyed. I'd be happy for some people. I'd be happy for Knicks fans generally, and then I would be like, so like, because one of the things keeping me alive is like, well, at least the Knicks haven't won one either,
right?
So it's not like we can be.
They also
held
haven't
down
gotten
by
past the second round. So
yeah.
Bucks.
Doc.
Oh, it would be painful. Yeah.
Yeah. 9.
Yeah. Pacers. Is a 1.
1.
Right?
Would love it.
Tobias Harris and the Pistons.
1. Let's go. Cade.
All right. Over to the Western Conference. Thunder.
1. -1. Would love it.
Lakers.
Interesting. Alyssa's a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
It would be satisfying in like sort of a sick fuck way to really kick a guy when he's down for Nico Harrison to watch the Lakers win a championship. That would be it's just one of the worst traits ever. And the fallout since then has been reinforced that unluckily for him. But obviously the Lakers have plenty, and you feel differently, and I understand that. But there's narrative satisfaction in like LeBron winning another one, and like and how
who would be satisfied with that? Only an asshole.
Yeah. I don't know. You got to respect the greatness, or at least I do.
I
Yeah,
want to
that's
puke.
That's fine.
Nuggets.
I think we're already dead in that respect.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't bother me that much.
Maybe a 3.
Yeah. We'll finish up after I tell you about Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by MortgageCS.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using MortgageCS now. Going to close on
active customer.
Active customer.
They make you sign an NDA to talk about it on the pod? No NDA? Okay, so here we go.
No
Let's get some
NDA, yeah.
numbers.
I can talk about it. So I'll end up, this is the first time I've used MortgageCS. We'll end up closing on our house in about 9 days. Mm-hmm. And so MortgageCS is a mortgage broker. They're the ones you work with directly. They go to the lenders. They get you the loan. I truly cannot believe that they are this much better than every other mortgage broker. I've worked with 2 other mortgage brokers, both fine, by the way. Like, here's the thing. I'm a bitch to work for in that respect, in that I want people like on it. Like, get back to me. I also judge you about how you send emails. Like, are they complete sentences? Is your signature in the email? Blah, 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 blah.
People that are, is your signature, is that a good thing, signature in the email?
Yeah. Well, if you're professional, yeah.
Sure.
You know, everyone on their team. So, Ben and Alec, I talk about all the time. But everyone that I've dealt with, I don't know if I'm allowed to give out their names, but like everyone is so
You
pleasant.
said you didn't sign an NDA. Now it sounds like you did. Okay.
Everyone is so pleasant.
Crazy.
And gives you a complete answer. One of the most frustrating things ever in any sort of business situation is when you ask like a question and they only half answer it. So you have to send another email and then wait for them 24 hours to answer. It's just like everything is so quick and so thorough and so friendly.
I love it. That's good to hear, because if you used one of the sponsors and they sucked,
it was terrible.
That would be a tough hit.
I'm just being like, there was one time, this is the last part of the story. It was like 7:45 at night. And there's this thing where when you settle on your rate, you can sort of like buy down your rate. You know, you can spend extra money at closing. And I couldn't figure out what the right decision was. And and both Alec and Ben have helped me. And it was actually the next morning. Alec spent like 25 minutes on the phone with me, explaining the pluses and minuses and helping me through it. And it was just, you don't get this sort of stuff with a mortgage broker. So I guess what I would say is early in the process, go to MortgageCS. If the seller of the house tries to like pressure you into using a different mortgage broker, do not let them do it. Stay with MortgageCS. Go early in the process so they can like guide you through it. You get the full experience when you go early in the process. Go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. You can learn more about them there. You could call or text Ben at any time. And I mean it, I've done it, 267-391-7425. And I would think maybe they're just doing it for me if this hadn't been what everybody had said who had dealt with them. Realtor down in South Jersey where I'm buying said to me, they have been awesome. I'm going to recommend them to people. So it's been great. Visit MortgageCS. Say again?
Good to hear it.
Yeah, they're great. MortgageCS.com/Ricky or call or text Ben at any point, 267-391-7425. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. MortgageCS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS 1464766. Visit MortgageCS.com/Ricky for more information. And my realtor up here who's helping me sell my house, TJ, great guy, he recommends MortgageCS too to his clients. So there you go. Okay, rest of the teams. Grizzlies, you would love, right?
Oh, I would love that. That would be great. That would be huge for me.
Okay. Rockets. I would enjoy a Rockets championship.
I would still have residual dislike for Ime Udoka.
Nobody even knows what he did.
Some Dylan Brooks stuff. I think he just seems. I mean, I should have mentioned JJ on the Lakers one.
Well, yeah.
Don't want him to win a championship. Do not want him to win a championship. That would be
angry little man.
Although I haven't seen him be that angry in a while, but maybe I haven't been paying attention.
He was pissy after the Nets loss.
He was?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course he would be.
Yeah.
Thank you, by the way, to the Lakers for losing to the Nets. What a gift. What a gift that was.
Yep.
Who was the last one?
Well, Rockets. So Rockets,
I would like.
Okay.
Dylan Brooks, whatever. Be kind of fun, I guess. Let's call the Rockets like a 2. They wouldn't be my favorite team to watch win. I love a lot of those guys. Amen Thompson is the man. Tari Easton is very fun. Şengün is very interesting. Like, it's such an interesting team to be
Feels
as
like
good
a Mike
as they
team.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of teams in the league that you're like, it's surprising that they're this good. Like Cleveland, it's surprising that they're this good. Memphis, even, especially after last year's horrendous one. Houston, Indiana, Detroit, like those are teams like all of them without a traditional, you would say, like top 10 player,
star player, yeah.
And they're all in the top 10 in the league. It's like those are straight up just like really good teams. And
a few more Warriors.
Jimmy making them good. When Jimmy gives a shit, man, there's nobody like it. It can turn on a dime, but it's been cool to see him and Steph, like, you know, find some juice off of each other. Draymond, annoying.
They're so annoying.
Maybe
more annoying every year.
Maybe a 3 or 4. But I'd be happy about it on one level, but annoyed about it on other.
2 more Wolves.
1.
I just wouldn't care, I think.
Like the Wolves.
Yeah.
I feel a kinship with Wolves. Like the teams like Sacramento, Minnesota, I mean, you may have to add Dallas just because of how it feels like a very Sixers thing to happen to them, to trade their best player in the dark of night and not negotiate with them. Like, it just seems like something that we would endure. And so fan bases that feel powerless, that to the ineptitude of their organizations, I feel like we are brothers and sisters.
I feel that. I understand.
So I look around the league. The Knicks were like that for a little bit. I don't feel it anymore. So I look around the league and think, like, to me, that's Minnesota, that's Dallas, and that's Sacramento.
And do I have two more here? And the Clippers.
Maybe Chicago as well. You could add Chicago. They've just been so pointless for so bad. The Clippers, boy, James Harden playing good basketball. He dropped 50 the other night.
Yeah.
That's wild. Like, I'm surprised. You thought he was going to be out of the league. I didn't think he was going to be that bad, but I certainly didn't think he was going to be this good.
Well, he's doing what he does, though. I mean, he keeps teams afloat during the regular season. I mean, he's got, I think, his fewest shots at the rim in his entire career.
Sure.
Lowest shooting percentage of his career.
Sure.
But
Kawhi's been out of there for much of the year. It's been Harden and Norm Powell and Ivica Zubac, and they've been good, man. They've been really good. Are they going to win around in the playoffs? I would say probably not, unless Kawhi really just takes over and shows some Fountain of Youth stuff. But I would be annoyed. Yeah, I would be annoyed because I also have a long-time listener to this podcast will know me and my friend Nate, who's a Clippers fan, back in 2014, it was right before me and Alyssa met. We made a $5 bet on which team, the Sixers or the Clippers, would make a championship first. And that $5 bet remains outstanding. And so I would like to win that bet, or at least not lose it. So I guess I would be annoyed if the Clippers won. So let's say 6 for the Clippers.
So instead of going over the who you would take at each position, because we'll have a lot of time for that, I want to ask the question a little bit differently. And I thought Mike O'Connor did a good job on RightsRickySanchez.com. Go there, read it, subscribe. I think my question more for you is, what position in the draft does it become for you like, maybe trade back? Like, it's not Cooper Flag. We know that. It seems like the top 3 are Flag, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey. Is it past that you're
I don't think Ace Bailey is guaranteed a 3.
Okay.
For sure.
So at what point do you maybe not need the guy? I think that's my question for you.
Well, to me, it's very interesting because a lot of this, and I was texting with MOC about it because I think I said I think you missed an opportunity to talk about Embiid in here because there are a few almost center only prospects that are available there. And if you're thinking it would be insane to think like, Joel is just going to come in and be the guy that he was next season. It's going to work this time. All the other things that we tried didn't work all season long. So next year it's going to be real. I think people are over fatalizing the idea that like he's just never going to be the same because a year ago he was. So it's been a bad year. He might not be the same, but it's only been a year of this. It hasn't been 4 years of it. You know what I mean? I think people got used to it's been it's been a horrible year, and it might not have ever been the case. But
I'm just saying, when this starts happening to big guys, it usually doesn't go
absolutely
the other direction.
100%.
I don't want to be fatalist about it.
I'm just saying that the way people are talking about it indicate that we've been going through this for like 2-3 years and it just hasn't worked. When really he rushed back for the playoffs, looked not great, but not as bad as he looks now, and then played in the Olympics and kind of the same. It's gotten worse over the course of this season. And so I'm not ruling out the idea that if he could go back to the guy that he was even just in the Knicks series, then we're talking about something there, especially with...
But in the Knicks series, he averaged 33, 10, and 5.
But then to me, that was post-injury, though. If we're saying the community injury is possible, I think, look, it's bad. It's upsetting. He might be done. But the idea that they couldn't get back to some version of a post meniscus Embiid for like 50 games, 45 games in a season and play some playoffs. Like, I don't know. It's easy to say it's never going to happen and look, and not look stupid.
Yeah. Yes. I agree with you in that case.
So I truly obviously have no fucking idea. I'm just sort of pointing out the idea that, there's one fly, pointing out the idea that, it really hasn't been that long.
Well,
for this
here's
kind of thing.
the question is I think, do you make, and I think for me, the answer is yes. Do you make this decision about who you're going to draft independent of Joel Embiid?
I think
the answer is yes. Yeah.
So I think if you get one, you're drafting Cooper Flagg. I think if you get two, you're drafting Dylan Harper, and you're considering, as MOC laid out, do you move one of Maxey or McCain?
Right.
That's something that you'd consider and to trigger a rebuild and stuff. Dylan Harper is more capable of playing like combo guard to a ball dominant guy, but having all three of those guys, that sort of limits you a little bit. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just say, let's see him play and let's see if we can figure it out. Maxey has obviously gotten way better as a defender. I believe in McCain getting better as a defender, so maybe it's silly to trade one of them so soon. Who knows?
Well, isn't the thing is probably to trade Maxey because you probably get more back and he's further along in a salary standpoint if you're rebuilding, right? I mean,
for sure.
Yeah.
But he's still young and he's still got plenty of years on that contract left. And who knows? Trading Maxey is not like a priority for me.
No.
Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into it. You got to get the pick first. So after 2, then you start to go like, okay, who do they like the best? Who's the best? So much of it depends on Joel. It just like, if you think that you could draft for something resembling fit, that you imagine Joel on the team, since he's got several years left of this contract and the doctors are telling you whatever they're telling you, then I think it has to be a factor. But I also think it would be silly to, if you think the center is the best player there, to not draft him because you have Joel. I think that would be pretty silly. And so to me, Malawach on Duke is like a over 7 foot load. Like, he's a straight up center, like rim running, rim protecting, shot blocking, doesn't do much else, but is like a lob threat, like classic centery center guy. Mm-hmm. That is just like an overwhelming size and young and really good. The sweet spot for me has always been, can you draft an athletic 4 that can play up in a pinch, and play some smallish 5? Like, could you draft a 4-5? And Cooper Flagg is capable of that because of how much of a impact player he is on the defensive end. And you can say, okay, Flagg plus like Yabusele or something, can hold their own defensively at the 4-5 eventually, whatever. The guys that I look at are like Derek Queen of Maryland, who's been playing great ball as a freshman, and is a really smart player, but has not proven a willingness to have a jump shot yet. And so even if he looks kind of fluid as an athlete, spacing would be an issue as far as like considering him with Joel. And maybe this is insane that I'm talking about it with Joel, but this is Daryl, at least publicly, is still going like, we have built around Joel and we are building around Joel, like that kind of thing. So it's a factor. It's really hard to imagine. So I think what they should do is probably just draft the player that they think is best and figure out, if that player is like a wing, then that's great. I would probably not draft an undersized guard. The good thing is there doesn't really seem to be one of those guys in this draft, like at that level. Even Trey Johnson, who's like a scorer at Texas, and is kind of the man, played great today against Vanderbilt. I was watching. Has a lot of like on ball juice and shooting juice. He's 6'6", so you can get around those. He's kind of like the smallest guy that they would consider there. So yeah, I would draft the best player, and when you go, have the worst season in recent memory after having one of the best off seasons in recent memory, like, you kind of can't assume anything, and you just got to go, oh, we have a top 5-6 pick, we're going to take the best player that we think has the best chance to be really good. And then you can get at 37. There's gonna be plenty of guys that you can get that are like interesting role playery types. That's like my favorite spot in the draft is like the early 30s. And so 36 now. Now it's 36, Spike. So I've been saying 37. Now it's 36.
Now it's 36. Yeah.
Could be 35 by all means. And so so you can get some more helpful guys. Like I like Nick Clifford a lot at Colorado State, a wing that is sort of a do-it-all. He scores a lot in college and has the ball in his hands a lot.
We're gonna have a lot of time for this, Mike.
A lot of time, but I'm just excited.
Okay. Right.
But yeah, so my as far as like big picture stuff, I would say draft the player you think is best. And if it's Daryl, if Daryl isn't fired because of how bad this season has gone, or Daryl and Elton, if the whole front office isn't fired, then they should feel confident to just take the best player. If they replace him with somebody else before the draft, then that person would definitely take the highest upside player, I'm sure. Because then they would be like, okay, this is maybe we're starting a rebuild essentially.
Yeah, the future. But before we leave, you weren't here for this. I read this email to AU. I think you need to hear it because I think you would enjoy it. It's just a quick story from and if you've heard this before, but it's worth hearing it again if you listen to this. It was at the end of the pod, 2 pods ago or something. We get regular emails from this guy, Scott in Utah. Sends great emails. Always pretty angry emails and long, but I enjoy the emails. Scott in Utah sent this email, and this was the second half of the email.
Okay.
He says, non-basketball story. I work with a Chiefs fan. I do not know him well, but we've always been friendly. He's built like Zach Bond, 6'3", 220 to 240, and around 30 years old. I'm almost 55, 5'11", 170, and obviously an Eagles fan, even though I don't wear it on my sleeve or talk shit. I'm very quiet, professional, and focused at work. The Monday after the Super Bowl, he walked by and I said, hey, what was it like for you watching that game?
Threatening.
Well, he wanted to fight. He jumped right in my face trying to bully me with his chest. He was
fight.
He was saying, you're not about it. You're not about it.
At work?
At work. I stared right at him the entire time and said, sorry, dude, I'm too old and slow to be about it. And he backed off. I saw him this week and said, what's up, big guy? Are we cool now? And he said, no, man, I can't wait. I can't wait. And stares me down as he walks away. So now I'm being bullied at work by a guy twice my size and 25 years younger because I asked him about a football game. I can handle it, so no problem for me, but what the fuck? You're not about it.
That is so funny.
You're not about it.
It's so funny, dude. Anybody that
Sports are the
would
best.
like fight about this is just you gotta grow up, dude. You can't be doing this. You gotta hate your team more than you let other people hate your team.
Yes.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. That's what we do. Can't hurt me.
You can't.
Yeah. Can't kill me. I'm already dead.
Come on.
All right. Congratulations, Sixers, on the big loss. Hey,
big loss.
By the way, Nick Nurse, fuck you for challenging that call. There's no need to do it. You're not fooling anyone. Like, please do not challenge that call again.
Yeah. Sixers have a this was kind of a light run for a little bit, within like a week and a half, having like Blazers, Jazz, Hawks, Raptors. They come out looking good on the other side. The next couple weeks, it's Pacers, Mavs, Rockets, Thunder.
Well, Mavs are a shell of themselves, but
but hopefully they get somebody back at least.
Yeah,
maybe PJ Washington. And guess what happens soon, bud?
What?
The tournament.
Oh, the tournament. Yeah.
My tournament.
Well, I believe. What will I be in Atlanta for the? Not the open. What's the opening round? The opening round's next weekend, right? Or is that this weekend or next weekend?
This weekend is Selection Sunday.
Okay, so next weekend we'll be in Atlanta.
Next weekend, Atlanta. So the games are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday for the women. It's going to be a great tournament. It's going to be two sick tournaments. I can't wait. I love basketball, and I love not having expectations for the Sixers, guys.
We're back.
Look how free and light I am.
Yeah.
AU was like trying to just like grip it so tight. You don't need to do it. Just let it go, man. This is easy. I'm exhaling. I'm constantly exhaling. I'm not upset about the Sixers. I'll be upset about them in the future. Right now, it's just like They are not a burden on me right now. They cannot touch me. The season is over, and it has been over for a long time. And now I get to enjoy my life and other basketball, which is a sport I love to watch. Not when the Sixers are making it torturous for me. And so, thank you to the Sixers. Thank you to the Sixers. What a relaxing April, May we'll have. Enjoy watching the NBA playoffs, which are going to be great this year.
And I've mentioned there's going to be a lottery party. We'll have information for you on it soon. So
lottery party.
I can't believe we're doing this again. Yeah, back to our roots.
Back to our roots. Unbelievable.
Our first lottery party, I was only 19 years old, and here 19, I am 48. Yeah,
I was a baby in your arms.
Yeah.
They are. If they don't get the pick, if they get 5 and then drop down to 7, like the podcast is over. The podcast is over. We never talk again. We never see each other again. Nobody ever talks about it again. We imagine it never
happened. Never happened. All right. We'll talk to you next time. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah. Lick face.